So, as a coaching entrepreneur, I know it can sometimes feel very awkward. You can feel somewhat resistant to selling because of a fear of having to handle sales objections. Now, first of all, I want to just say that sales objections are a part of the sales process. They're a normal part of the process, and they're not actually personal. It's not when you get sales objections, they're not a reflection of you or your coaching service. If you've established great rapport with your prospect and you've established needs well, and you know that you're both a good fit to work together, then an objection is simply a part of the conversation that enables your prospect to gain greater clarity. Now, in my 25 plus years of coaching and mentoring in sales, both in the corporate environment as well as for entrepreneurs, I believe that the best way to handle sales objections is actually to handle them throughout your entire discovery call process. So you can actually minimize the need for your prospect to raise objections, which are essentially a need for clarification or an expression of deeper doubts or fear by the way you conduct your discovery call. So you can do this by positioning your expertise, pitching your services confidently, providing your prospects with a clear pathway to the results they want, demonstrating your understanding of your prospects' doubts and their desires. By doing all of that, you literally remove all obstacles for them, thereby mitigating the need to raise an objection. And when you think about all you're doing on your sales call is really helping your prospect to make an informed and empowered decision. So let's dive a little deeper into those sort of specific processes that as you do them throughout your discovery call process, you actually minimize the need for your prospect to raise an objection. So there are 6 core principles that I want to run through in this video. So the first one is to follow the 80-20 rule. So this basically means that your prospect should be talking 80% of the time while you're listening for that 80% of the time, and your talking is only about 20% of the call. So this means for you just to listen, to probe, to be really curious about your prospect, to ask questions and dive deeper, and also to hold spaces of silence. Those pockets of silence are so important for your prospect. Gives them time to think and answer your question before moving to the next one, and it allows them to kind of articulate in a way that maybe they never have before. So give them the space and the silence to really answer your questions. If you think about your sales calls are essentially about establishing your understanding of what your prospect is going through. Like, what is the problem as they see it? How does it feel to be them? What is it they really want, and why do they want what they want? When you understand all of that, it kind of puts you in a place of being able to offer your services with full integrity. It's kind of like a diagnosis. I know we hear this GP analogy a lot when it comes to sales calls, but it's a good one, because when you're asking questions, you are diagnosing, you're gathering information, you're gathering data to be able to make an accurate diagnosis of your prospect's problem in order then to make a sound prognosis and offer your solution, like I said, with full integrity. Your prospects will appreciate this and they will trust you more as a result. They will feel heard. Many people forget about this. They move too quickly into selling themselves and their services, and actually this is really off-putting for your prospect, because as you do that, they won't feel heard. They won't feel like you properly understand them. And as I alluded to earlier, this may be the first time that your prospect has had an opportunity to really articulate their problem and articulate what it is they want in a judgment-free place, in a judgment-free conversation. So this is really important. The other thing I want to say is, we're still in principle 1, which is the 80-20 rule, is as you're digging deeper, as you're listening, as you're probing, is to use the question, what else? when you ask what else, and you ask it, in a variation of ways, you can say, what else is it that you want? What else is going on for you? What would that look like if you got that? How would that feel? What would that do for you? What's the significance of that for you? All of these are variations that enable your prospect, through your deepening questioning, to take them out of their head, where they're probably living in their head, and into their heart. And that's when you connect with them on an emotional level, and that's when they really connect to why they want to make the changes they want to make. Okay, principle number 2, step number 2 is very, very brief, and that is to give your discovery calls more time. I've seen coaches offering strategy calls, clarity calls, discovery calls, whatever they're called for you, whatever you call them. I've seen people offering them at 20 minutes, and that's just not long enough. And I honestly don't think it's appropriate or fair to expect somebody to invest with you, even if you're charging, say, 3,000 for a coaching program, or plus, even more than that. Can you reasonably expect somebody to say yes and invest with you when you're giving them 20 minutes as a discovery call time? It's not long enough. So ensure that you're giving those calls the time that they deserve, and honor your prospects with more time. Okay, so principle number 3 is about positioning your expertise. Now, one of the biggest advantages of the information age that we're living in at the moment is that you actually get to position your expertise in the minds of your prospects up front, so through your content. And research has shown that consumer buying habits have changed, in so much as even before a consumer contacts the company of the product and service that they're wanting to buy, they're 80% decided, that they're 80% sold, even before they make contact with the company. And this is irrespective of industry, irrespective of size of company or geography, location. It's irrespective of all of that. So what that means for you is, as you get this great opportunity to attract people through your content and position your expertise up front, so that by the time somebody comes on a call with you, they already see you as the specialist. They already perceive you as somebody who knows how to help them solve their problem. You have the solution. So you've got to remember this. You've got to stand in your power as the expert. So to reinforce your expert position on your discovery call, there's 3 things you need to do. The first one is you've got to manage your state around this. If you're doubting yourself and you're doubting your ability to deliver the results that you're promising, or if you are coming to the call from a place of desperation and neediness for the sale, then you are likely to sabotage that sale. Even on an unconscious level, your prospect will pick up that desperate, needy energy. They will pick up on your doubts. You will give yourself away unconsciously. Of course, they won't know that that's what's happening, but they will just sense something doesn't feel right. Perhaps this isn't for me, and they will probably raise a bunch of objections just to exit the call as quickly as possible. So the first thing is to manage your state around your position as the expert. The second thing to do to reinforce your expert positioning is follow step 1, principle 1, which is to listen 80% of the time, talk for 20% of the time. And then the third one around reinforcing your expert positioning is to go to step 4, practice principle number 4, which is your pathway. So your pathway is the bridge between where your prospects are and where they want to be. So the pathway, or the bridge, is made up of the essential milestones that your client must go through in order to get the result that they want. So too many coaches struggle trying to sell their services, their offers, because they are trying to sell a number of sessions, work with me for 6 sessions, or they're trying to sell a duration, a package by duration. So work with me for 90 days, for example. And when they say work with me for these 6 sessions or work with me for these 90 days, they then only specify an end result without a clear pathway. And what this means, if you think about where your prospect is when they come to you, They've probably been in that place for a long time. They've probably tried all sorts of different things to solve their problem themselves, or had other help, and they've never managed to solve it. So it's a big cognitive leap for your prospects to imagine that they're here, they just work with you for 90 days, and all of a sudden they'll be over there, they'll get the result they want. It's too big a cognitive leap. What you want to create for them is something that is more solid, feels more concrete, feels more tangible for your prospects to kind of buy into and invest in. And this is where your pathway comes in. So when you're able to clearly define the steps that your prospects will take, they're able to kind of process, they're able to see the how, which offers them greater certainty. They can see how they're going to achieve the steps, the outcome they're seeking by following these specific steps. So people will pay for certainty. So when your prospects see that you have a route map, it's all laid out, it makes sense because you're going to explain that this step then leads on to this step, and then you'll get this step. When you take them through your pathway, they're assured of the outcome. So this step number 4 is to define and describe the steps they'll go through, whilst ensuring that you are also, whilst doing this, applying principle number 5, which is using these 3 magic words. The 3 magic words are which means that. So what do I mean by that? So which means that is the, it kind of bridges the gap between the benefit that you are talking about. So they have to go through these milestones, these are the milestones, or plus how you're going to help them. So the series of one-to-one coaching calls or a series of group coaching calls, you know, they might get various other deliverables as a result of working with you, such as, you know, you might offer them as part of your program, you might offer them, you know, bespoke meditations, or you might offer them a you know, training library or workbooks or video trainings and all of these things. When you add which means that, it closes the gap between the features that you're describing and the benefits for the prospect, which means that you'll get more emphatic yeses on your sales calls, minus the awkward objections. So if you think about it this way, in the minds of your audience, your people, they're not actually buying coaching, you know, nor are they paying for your 60-minute coaching calls each week. They're not even paying for the pretty workbooks that you've created. They're not buying your EFT skills. They're not paying for hypnotherapy or NLP or any of the other techniques or modalities that you have mastered your craft in. What your people are actually paying for is why they're having those things. So remember the dictum, people buy the why. So the cold truth is they don't care about your processes. What they care about is what's in it for them, which means that enables you to position your process and the payoffs for your prospects. So let me give you an example. If you say you had a vault of a resource library in which there were training videos and workbooks for them to access at any time, you could say you get access, 24/7 access to my training videos and workbooks, which means that you can continue to work at your own pace. You can accelerate the progress, or you can take it slower depending on what's going on for you during the week, which means that you don't have to wait for our weekly call to get your questions answered, which means that you've got, you know, you can access those calls at any point. So if you're traveling during the week, you can listen in and always access that growth and learning in between our sessions. So you've given that clear what's in it for them to have that extra resource. And then the final principle here is use your prospect's language. So what this basically means, you're in the pitch phase at this point, and it's understanding that everybody's worldview is unique. Like everyone is coming to the table with a different different filters, different perspectives, different interpretations and meanings on words. So let me give you an example. It's probably the easiest thing to do. So if you were to imagine that you're a confidence coach, right? You work with aspiring female leaders and in the corporate world, and you help these people to overcome a lack of confidence. So when it comes to speaking in the boardroom, you help them to really speak up with confidence, to assert themselves. And you know that if they can do this, they start to open doors of opportunity, get noticed by the bosses because they're way more confident, they're speaking up, they're being seen and being heard. So you're really excited about being able to help people do this. So through your content, you've attracted somebody to book a call with you. She's been consuming your stuff and she sees you as an expert, and now she's ready for your help. So during the call, as you're doing your establishing needs bit, you may sort of probe a bit and you find out, you discover from her that she says, I'd like to find my voice. I'd like to express my ideas without the fear of being judged. And she may share with you that she has a belief that the ideas she has, that she's got locked up within her because she doesn't have the confidence to share them, these ideas she has will reduce the overwhelming stress in her office. It will bring about increased productivity and happiness for her team. So she's shared that with you. That's what you've discovered. So during your pitch, you feel really excited because you know you can help her. So during the pitch part, you tell her that you will help her develop rockstar confidence and that you'll help her assert herself without the fear. You'll help her get seen and heard by the bosses, thereby accelerating her progression up the career ladder. So you tell her all of that. And that's great, except it's not what she told you she wanted. It's what you say, possibly to everyone. But rockstar confidence may be something that is completely discordant with what she wants. And the fact that she didn't use those words means that you've imposed your worldview. So she's most likely thinking, oh, that's not what I want. It doesn't sound like what I want, doesn't feel like what I want. So the simplest thing to do here, or you could have done here, that would have changed the whole tone of that end of the conversation, was simply repeat back that you can help her find her voice so she can express her ideas without the fear of being judged, and thereby helping her team to overcome stress and increase productivity and happiness. That's all you needed to say in order to position your offer in a way that resonates with her. And it shows that you're listening, that you completely understood what it is she wants. So they are the six simple steps to help you best handle your sales call objections throughout the sales conversation. So in conclusion, you've got follow the 80-20 rule, is to give your prospects the gift of more time. So lengthen your discovery calls, position your expertise through managing your state around this, demonstrate your pathway, which is the bridge, the milestones, close the gap between the benefits, the features and the benefits using the words which means that. And when you deliver your outcomes, use your prospect's specific language. Okay, so I hope you found this helpful. If you've got questions about any of what I've shared, then please put them in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. And that is my training for today. So thank you so much for watching.